Today we are going to discuss third semester macroeconomics paper, topic on consumption function. Here the consumption function is a key concept in economics, particularly in the study of macroeconomics. It represents the relationship between income and consumption expenditure in the economy. See, when we observe the consumption function, consumption is a function of income. When we write in a mathematical equation, C is equal to is a function of y. So, there is a positive relationship between income and consumption. When consumption increases due to increase in the income. So, here there is a positive relationship between income and consumption. Here when we observe the Keynesian fundamental psychological law of consumption, when income increases, consumption also increase, but less than the proportion of income. What does it mean? If income increases 300 rupees, for example, consumption also increase less than the 300. For it may be 250 rupees or 270 rupees. So, it less than the increase the income. When we talk about the income, here the income increases, consumption increasing, as I said, at the same time saving also increase, saving also increase. So, when income increases, consumption increasing as well as saving also increasing. Here we have to remember other things remaining constant, it may be prices, okay? Other things are constant. So, here we are talking about the consumption function. The relationship between aggregate disposable income and aggregate consumption spending, we call it as consumption function. Here generally there are various equations are there when we are writing consumption function, but one of the most common function is linear consumption function. So, here when we write equation, C is equal to alpha plus beta y d. Here C is the consumption, alpha is autonomous consumption and y is income, b is MPC or coefficient of the income, d represents disposable. So, income is disposable income. What does it mean? After paying the direct taxes, what is consumers or households, they are having actual income, that is representing disposable income after paying the taxes. So, from that households they are consuming. So, there is a positive relationship between income and consumption. Coming to the autonomous consumption, as I said, autonomous consumption is positive when income is 0. For example, as students of you are not earning anything, but still you are consuming. So, there is some positive consumption when income is 0. So, here there is a positive association between income and consumption. Whenever there is a increase in the income, consumption also increasing, we have to remember. According to Keynes consumption function, here as I said, when income is 0, still consumption is positive, that is related to autonomous consumption. So, with the diagram here from 0, the y is equal to C plus S, that is disposable income of the households in the economy. From the diagram when we observe, in y axis consumption and savings we have taken, and x axis we have taken consider income. So, here from the diagram from the 0 to C0, when we observe that consumption curve is above the income line, because when income is 0, still the consumption is positive, that is the reason why it is the above. When income increases from 0 to 100, there the consumption is 150 rupees. So, what does it mean? Consumption is greater than the income. So, here dis-savings are there. When we observe, dis-savings are there because expenditure is more than the income. When income increases from 100 to 200 rupees, where at point M both are equal, income and expenditure. Consumption expenditure around 200 rupees, at the same time income also 200 rupees. So, here savings are 0 according to Keynesian consumption function. When income increases from 200 to 300 rupees, see here the consumption expenditure is 250 rupees from the 300 rupees. So, consumption is 250, remaining portion, that is 50, going to be saved according to Keynesian consumption function. So, when we observe this diagram, consumption expenditure is increasing due to increasing the income. So, there is a positive association between consumption and income, positive relationship between income and consumption, because when income rises, consumption also rising, but less than the proportion. That is the reason why, as I said, income is 300, consumption is 250, then the remaining 50 rupees are going to be saved. But in the earlier, when the income is 0, still it is positive consumption, because that is autonomous consumption, that is 50. If income increases from 0 to 500, that is still there is a dis-saving, because consumption is more than the income. That is the reason why there is no savings. If income increases, consumption also increasing, income increases continuously, later consumption may be declines and savings will be more increases. So, when we are talking about the average propensity to consume, it is the key concept in economics. Particularly, it measures the proportion of the households to spend on consumption. It is calculated by dividing the total consumption expenditure by total income. We represents average propensity to consume in a mathematical model. APC is equal to C by Y. So, here it is very important to analyze the average propensity to consume, because it helps to understand the consumer behavior and how to changes their income and how it is affecting on the consumption pattern. It is easy to understand the consumption of the consumers. So, it indicates that the percentage of households typically they spend rather than they save, this according to the APC, average propensity to consume. If the APC, average propensity to consume, is high, it suggests that households are spending larger portion on consumption of goods and services. If APC, average propensity to consume, is more, consumers or households are going to be spend more on goods and services in the economy. Whereas, if the average propensity to consume is lower, that indicates that households are saving of their from their income levels. So, it depends on the, when the average propensity to consume is higher, savings are less, consumption is more. When the average propensity to consume is less, then that indicates savings are more and consumption is less from their income levels. Coming to the marginal propensity to consume, it refers to the proportion of additional income of households or individuals that spend on consumption, that is marginal propensity to consume. In other words, we can say that it is measure of how much the each additional rupee that is earned by the individuals for spending on goods and services, we call it as marginal propensity to consume. So, here when we write in mathematical equation, MPC is equal to change in consumption or the delta C by delta Y, which represents the slope of the consumption. So, for example, if a person getting extra 100 rupees of income and spending 80 rupees of the consumption on consumption. So, here the MPC value will be 0.8, because the extra rupee and how much is going to be consumed, 80 rupees from the 100 rupees. Extra 100 rupees increased, and from that extra additional amount of 100, he is going to be spent on 80 rupees. 80 divided by 100, then MPC will get around 0.8%. When we calculate the average propensity to consume and marginal propensity to consume over a period of time while increasing the income levels. For example, if income, particularly that is disposable income, if income is 20 rupees, consumption is 40 rupees, that is because autonomous consumption is added in that, because still even income 0, for example, consumption is positive. So, in the initial stage when income is less, when income increases 20 rupees, consumption is 40, and when income increases from 20 rupees to 50, consumption also increases 50 rupees. If income increases 90 rupees, consumption increasing less than the income. So, it is 60. If income increases from 90 to 140, consumption is on 70 rupees. Income increases 200 to 270, 270 to 400. Likewise, when we observe the income levels and consumption pattern or consumption expenditure, the expenditure is less than the what actually increased by the income of the households. We can easily identify. So, whenever there is a increase in the income level, consumption also increasing, but less than the proportion, less than the proportion. That is the reason why if the income is 90 rupees, consumption is 60, income is 400, consumption is 100 rupees. When income increasing, consumption also increasing, but less than the proportion. Coming to the average propensity to consume, that is we can calculate by C by Y. Consumption by income, we get average propensity to consume. Here consumption is 40 rupees at initial and the income is 20 rupees. 40 divided by 20, we get the average propensity to consume, we get 2. At the same time, if the income when income is 50, consumption is 50. So, consumption divided by income, 50 divided by 50, we get APC is equal to 1. Likewise, when income is consumption is 60 rupees, income is 90, then 60 divided by 90, we get 0.66 of average propensity to consume. When income is 100, consumption is when income is 400, consumption is 100 as I said. So, 100 divided by 400, the average propensity to consume is 0.25. What we observe from this income levels and consumption pattern, how the APC average propensity to consume values are changing. See, drastically it is slowly comes down, it is decreasing. Whenever there is a increasing in the income levels, the consumption, particularly consumption also increasing, but when we talk about the average propensity to consume, that is declining slowly. Coming to the marginal propensity to consume, as I said, change in the consumption due to changes in the income levels, or the additional amount of, due to increase in the additional amount of income, how it is going to be spending on the consumption, that marginal propensity to consume we can observe. So, in the initial, when consumption expenditure is 40, income levels are 20. Here MPC we cannot calculate. So, here when income is 50, when consumption expenditure is 50, income also 50. So, what is the variation for the consumption pattern, how it is changed 40 to 50, how much it is the margin 10, right. Coming to the income levels 20 to 50, how much the variation from 20 to 30, it is 20 to 50, it is around 30 rupees, right. So, 10 divided by 30, we get 0.33% of marginal propensity to consume. In the same way, when we are talking about the 50 to 60, the consumption pattern increased. So, it is the variation, the additional consumption is only 10. Coming to the income level, how much the variation, how much it is increased, 40 rupees variation is there. So, 10 divided by 40, we get 0.25 marginal propensity to consume, MPC value. So, here when we observe, as income increases, consumption also increasing, marginal propensity to consume is slowly declining here also. See, coming to the, when the consumption expenditure is 80, income is 200, how much the variation, it is 60. So, 10 divided by 60, we get marginal propensity to consume around 0.16. At the same way, when income increases 400 and expenditure, as I said, 100. So, due to increasing in the income level, consumption also changed, that is additional 10. So, here 10 divided by 30, 130, we get around 0.07, that MPC value, marginal propensity to consume. Coming to the saving function, saving is part of income that is not spent on current consumption. Particularly, there is a positive relationship between saving and income, is called as saving function. So, here the relationship between saving and income, we call it as saving function. There is a positive association between saving and income. When income increases, savings also increases. Symbolically, when we write in a equation, mathematical equation, S is equal to function of y. Y, S is dependent variable, it is depending on the income. So, when income increases, saving also increases. When we observe this saving function, there is we can identify the two main features. So, here the saving can be negative, or saving can be 0, or at low level of income. What does it mean? When income is less than the expenditure, less than the consumption expenditure, then the savings are negative. When it is 0, when income equals to consumption expenditure, then the income also, we can say that saving is 0 savings due to low level of income. When we observe, as income increases, saving also increasing, as saving is a residual of households, particularly that is left after the consumption, that is going to be saved. So, saving is equal to, we can, when we write in a equation model, saving equals to income minus consumption remaining portion we can say that that is saving, or we can also write income. When we talk about the income, consumption plus saving, when we add these two together we will get actual income. So, saving, if we want to calculate saving, income minus consumption, that remaining portion is going to be savings. So, when income of the people particularly increases, the meanwhile their consumption expenditure also increases. As I said, income increases, consumption expenditure also increases. Based on the, as I said, Keynesian fundamental psychological law, people generally they increase their consumption as their income increases. People there increase their consumption due to increasing the income levels. So, but when they talking about the savings, the components increases gradually as consumption expenditure increases, consumption expenditure increases. So, whenever we are talking about the household side, when income increases, consumption expenditure is increasing, consumption expenditure is going to be increased. At the same time, this time going to be savings are drastically declines. So, here when we are talking about the savings, the component increases gradually as consumption expenditure decreases. When, what does it mean? When income increasing continuously, so expenditure decline or decreases, at that time savings are going to be increased, that we have to remember. Then coming to the average propensity to save, average propensity to save. The average propensity to save is the ratio between the disposable income and the total savings. We call it as average propensity to save. So, here we can also say that the proportion of income that individuals or households particularly how much they are going to save rather than the spending on consumption, that we call it as average propensity to save. So, we can write mathematical equation APS, average propensity to save, that is equal to savings by disposable income, savings by disposable income. So, APS is equal to S by Y. So, as the average propensity to consume, from this APS we can understand easily how much changes in their income levels that are affecting on their saving behavior within the economy. We are going to analyze from the average propensity to save. Then coming to the marginal propensity to save. The marginal propensity to save is the ratio of changes of the savings due to changes in the disposable income. Whenever there is a changes in the income levels, how much it is changes are going to be happen in the savings. When income increases, how it is impacting or how the savings are changes, we can say that the marginal propensity to save. Here we have to remember the marginal propensity to save is the ratio of changes due to changes in the disposable income. Disposable income. What does it mean? If additional unit of income that is increased by the households, how much they are going to be save rather than spending, that is marginal propensity to save. It represents that changes in the savings due to changes in the income levels. So, whenever there is a increasing in the income levels, how much the changes are happen particularly in the savings, that is marginal propensity to save. So, we can write mathematical equation marginal propensity to save, that is equal to changes in the or delta S by delta Y. So, what does it mean? Change in the savings due to changes in the income levels, that is marginal propensity to save. So, we have discussed about the consumption function. as I have clearly explained, according to Keynes, the psychological law of consumption function, Keynes fundamental psychological law of consumption function, when income increases, consumption also increases, but less than the proportion. What does it mean, less than the proportion? If income increases 300 rupees, consumption increase less than that 300 rupees. That is according to Keynesian psychological law of consumption function. So, marginal propensity to consume, as I said, it is changes in the consumption due to changes in the income levels. We represents with slope of the consumption function. So, here the marginal or the proportion of additional income that the households or the individuals are going to be spent on consumption, that is marginal propensity to consume. Here from this marginal propensity to consume, how much changes in the income levels, how much changes in the income levels due to that changes, that margin, that due to that how it is impacting on the consumption, this MPC going to be revealed. So, as I said, saving function, symbolically we can write saving is a function of income. What does it mean? Whenever there is an increase in the income levels, savings also increases. These savings may be it may be negative or it may be 0, because if it is negative, because if the income is greater than the consumption, then the savings are negative. If the income equals to consumption, that savings are 0, there is no amount of money to save. So, average proportion to save here, particularly proportion of the income of individuals or households, that is going to be saved rather than they are going to be spent, that is average proportion to save. So, it helps to understand particularly households, whenever there is changes in the income levels, how much they are going to be save within the economy, we can easily understand from the average proportion to save.